everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Kira, and today we are going to be going over my May TBR and also setting up my May reading journal spread. So sorry, I have been gone for the past couple of weeks. I know that I have not posted in a little bit. I think my last one was my March reading wrap up. As I've said, we're in the process of doing a move, and I've just been doing a lot of projects and I just did not have the bandwidth to make videos. I have been reading a lot, so I have a very great reading wrap up for April coming soon, so look out for that. And I am also, because we are selling the house, I need to stage the house a little bit, so I'm gonna have to take some of my decorations down, and I thought I would do a bookshelf tour, but also like go through and talk about the books that are still unread, and also look and see if there's any books that I want to unhaul. So that's probably coming, I would say, next week. I'm going to be doing it this week or like the next weekend, just so I can get this house ready to list soon. So having said that, because we are moving, I'm going to be packing up a lot of my books. I'm hoping for not too long. I'm hoping that it will only be for like May and June. Fingers crossed. And because of that, I am really being choosy on the physical books that I'm going to be bringing. But in the meantime, I'm going to be doing a lot of Kindle reading using my Libby and audiobooks. So there's going to be a lot of that this month. I have a lot of things that have been on my Kindle for a while that I'm trying to get through, and I also have a lot that are coming up on my Libby app. And I have taken some recommendations from last month, and some people in the comments have put, and so I have put those on hold, and they should be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I'm trying not to make long intros, but I have a little bit for everyone. My reading was all over the place in April, so I'm just going to be reading a lot of cozy mysteries, cozy fantasies, some sci-fi, some sci-fi horror, probably some like heartwarming, light, fluffy romances that are very spring. I will try to group them together in this so you can kind of skip through. So grab a coffee, a tea, or a drink, and let's get started. And also, sorry for the lighting if it's a little bit darker. It is very overcast today, so I had to kind of jerry-rig some lighting. So first, I'm going to go over my more lighthearted spring romances. I read a couple during April and I really enjoyed it. They're just very light and fluffy. I don't do romance a lot anymore, as I said. These just are, they don't really have any like spice to them, but it's just easier for me to read. And I started the Little Guest House of New Beginnings this month, and I'm only a little bit of the ways in. I am enjoying it, so I'm planning on reading it. I just kind of got into some other books, but this was on my April TBR, so I'm just going to continue that. I did talk about it then. Our main character, Madison, is coming back to her home on this little island and realizes it's kind of in trouble, and she helps it out. And then there's the little love interest who's the contractor. And it's just about community and building things up and, you know, getting through like some past history that they have. And the next one, which I don't think that I've talked about yet, is The Beekeeper's Cottage by Emma Davies. I just got attracted. This was like a cover. The cover just captured me. It is so spring and summer. It says it's a feel-good summer read, so I was saving it for my summer TBR, but I've just been looking at it and I really want to read it. And I just read Chalice in April. I will talk about that book, but I really am interested in beekeeping right now, so this one is kind of perfect. And there's also an audiobook version. I have decided that audiobook romances aren't exactly my thing, but maybe a light romance with no spice will work for me. But this one is about Grace, who is a beekeeper, and her husband cheated on her, and the only solace she's had is her property where she does beekeeping. One day a property developer comes and she starts freaking out, thinking that her solace and her sanctuary is going to be taken. She's overheard talking about this by a like mysterious town visitor, and in return for helping fix up her property and make it like a guest house, he wants lessons in beekeeping. They have this really mysterious past, and she has trust issues from what happened. And so I think, you know, learning about the beekeeping and also, you know, building this guest house and just like building the relationship, I just like that. And I just really loved all of the beekeeping in Chalice. So I really want to continue into more of like a modern version. And the next one is somewhat similar, but it's Starting Over at Acorn Cottage by Kate Forrester. So there's like a lot of authors that I have recently discovered that do all these really like light-hearted romances, and I think they're going to be perfect for spring and probably going into summer. And she was one of the authors that I'd heard about, so I really want to try out her writing. And this is about a main character kind of flees London for a simpler life. Some things have happened in her past, and she buys this house kind of sight unseen, and it is very, very run down. It's almost like it needs to be condemned. And she hires a contractor who has a little daughter, and they live in this van that's shaped like a mini cottage. And I just think that kind of hooked me. It sounds very whimsical and cute. And there's a lot of people in the town that make like magical teas and do all this stuff. I don't think it's cozy fantasy, but it has like elements to that people kind of just make this like magical little town. So I am curious to see if I like it. I've heard Emma Davies is wonderful and Kate Forster, so I'm hoping that this is a genre that I can explore, kind of get back into romance a little bit. It's just not my primary genre, obviously. I just don't read a lot of it anymore, but I think this would be nice, like kind of segue into it and maybe try out a new genre for me. And moving on to that, I will get into more of my cozy fantasies. I did read quite a few cozy fantasies in the month of April, and I've been really enjoying it. I've been reading all of one series mostly, but I did read Chalice and a couple of others. I just didn't get to all of the books that I wanted, so this is a bit of a holdover. I will be reading Saving the Ellipsis, and it's one of the only like physical books besides those other two that I'm going to be reading this month. I did talk about this in my April TBR, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it is about a town that's like folded within the pages of a manuscript, and some things start to unravel and are really great for grammar nerds. And our main character is like a florist, and she's trying to figure out how to help and what's going on. So I went into more detail in April if you wanted to see that, but I definitely do want to finish this. I think there are some elements of romance in this, but I don't think it's like the primary plot line, so I'm very excited about that. Still definitely high on my priority list. Okay, I lied. There is another one that's a physical copy, but I do also have it the ability to read it on Kindle. So this is one of the ones that I'm hoping that I will read when we're like moving. But it's Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, I think is how her name is pronounced. This one sounded very intriguing to me when I first saw it, and then it got like really hyped up, and I've talked about it in the past. When a book gets really hyped up, it kind of turns me off reading it for a little bit. But for some reason, I really just wanted to pick this one up. I think the third one is coming out this year. So I'm hoping that I like this one and I can go on to the next one as well. I've heard this one's very funny and engaging, and it's definitely cozy fantasy. It follows our main character who has like this mishap and ends up getting offered a job with the villain. It's very weird, and she has a lot to get used to, but when she starts getting used to it, some things start to happen. Someone's betraying him. I don't really know anything about it. I have avoided spoilers a lot because this book has always sounded interesting to me, and I think having a little bit more of like a comedy sort of situation will be nice with some of the other books that I'm planning on reading this month. And the next one that I want to read is book 5 in the Weary Dragon Inn series by S. Usher Avans. Again, I will talk about this more in my April wrap-up, but I started Drinks and Sinkholes because I had it on hold a long time ago, and it came up this last month, and I loved the whole series. So I've been reading, I read 4 of them so far this month, and I want to continue it. I have a lot of other books obviously that I want to read, so I'm going to try to refrain from reading like the entire rest of the series. There's 10 books. But the next one is Magic and Mole Men. I've loved the series just because it's very cozy fantasy. The world has a lot of different creatures. It's very low stakes because it's a cozy fantasy, but there's definitely some history that's a little bit darker, and you just get a little snippet. It follows the owner of the Weary Dragon Inn, whose name is Bev, which is short for Beverage Wench, because she showed up with no memory about 5 years ago, and she was hired as that, and then she took over the inn. And she always gets involved in these investigations and sort of mysteries for the town. I really enjoyed watching, you know, the town and how they come together and all the little mysteries. There's magic involved. There's different creatures like gnomes and mole men, which is the big one in this one. And it follows, I think, Merv, who's a favorite character of mine. He's a giant, really fuzzy, cuddly mole man who's a really good friend to Bev. So I just love it. I loved hearing about Pig's End and the town and all the little mysteries that they have. And it's not a hard series to follow. There is world building, but there's not a lot of like complex magic systems, and it's just been very wonderful while I have so much else going on to have this series that I can just really be cozy and have a great time in. So very excited to continue that series, and I think she started a new one after book 10. So after this series is done, I'm sure I will start that one. And the next one, which I have on Kindle, I think it's through Kindle Unlimited, is The Herb Witch's Apprentice by Irene Chow. I had heard about this one a while ago. I've just not been in a more of a romance mood. I think this is a cozy fantasy with a bit more romance involved. But it takes place in a kingdom where magic is outlawed, really, and our main character is a debutante and she's at this society ball. So I think it has a kind of Regency era vibes to it. But she figures out that she's actually half witch, and she doesn't like it at first, but as she grows more and more powerful, she realizes that the witches are not bad people. She starts to really love her community, and then something happens to the queen and she falls ill, and so she teams up with Prince Ash, whom she'd had a mishap with during her debut related to her magic. But he teams up with her to try and figure out what is going on in the hopes that all the innocent witches won't be blamed for what happened. I was drawn by the cover, but I've heard wonderful things. I think Meg's Tea Room put me onto this one, or one of my other cozy creators that I follow. So I think it's going to be really interesting. There's more books in the series, and I've been trying not to read the synopsis of the other ones just in case I will spoil things. But if I like this one, I definitely will continue to the rest of the series. So now we'll go on to more of my mystery category. It is a mixture of mystery, like cozy mysteries, and also thriller mysteries. I got into a little bit more thrillers this last month instead of just cozy mysteries, but I did read a lot of cozy mysteries. So first I'm going to read a book that I had I believe I had this on my April TBR and I just didn't get to it. And that's The Gardener's Plot by Deborah Benoit. This one was gifted to me and I really want to get to it. It is a mystery more than a cozy mystery. It just looks very cozy. But it's our main character who returns back to her hometown, and she is helping her friend Violet set up a community garden. But on opening day, a body is found in the garden and her friend Violet is nowhere to be found. So she tries to help clear her name, which is very cozy mystery-like, but I've heard this one is a little bit, less lighthearted than some of the other ones. So I think it'll be a good spring book and book for May. And I also have heard that the audiobook version is very good, so I'm going to be doing kind of a mix during all of my packing projects. And the next one that I want to read, or I might get to, is Murder by the Book by Lauren Elliott. I have read her Crystals and Curiosities series. I did talk about this last month and I just didn't get to it. But it's a cozy mystery series that takes place in a bookshop that our main character inherited, I believe is the background to it. But I don't know much else about it except that it is a 20-book series, so it would be nice if I enjoyed that one. I have been reading another book series in April about a paranormal shop, but I wanted to take a break and start a different one just to have a little bit of a change of pace. But it is, I think, the Beyond the Bookends series, and it is very highly regarded as in a cozy mysteries community, so I am very interested in reading that one. And the next book that I want to read in this category is Beaches, Bungalows, and Burglaries by Tonya Capps, and it is the first book in a new series that I am told is perfect for summer, and I kind of just want it to be getting into summer, so I'm starting to read those books recently, obviously. But I had this recommended in my comments for my March TBR video, and they said that they think I would like it. And it is about Mae West, and not the actress, but our character, whose husband was very rich, and then they figured out that he was involved in a Ponzi scheme. So she loses everything, which is kind of like Schitt's Creek. But she only gets to keep this Happy Trails campground in the middle of, I think, Kentucky. And so she goes there and she realizes that he had bilked most of the townspeople out of their money too. So not all of them like it. but she's determined to fix it up because it's not what she thought it was going to be. It was not well kept. And then her husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, turns up dead in the lake around the camp trails. So she is suspect number one and has to clear her name while trying to make this business work. But I think it's going to be really fun and cute, and I just like the small town vibe. I want to see if she can kind of change people's opinions of it, because a lot of these cozy mysteries, people are always just immediately like welcoming. So I think it's a little bit different setting. So yeah, I'm very interested in that one. And the next book that I am planning on reading and listening to is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I have heard such wonderful things about this. My current Libby hold is 304, but I think I can get it through another audiobook, but I've heard the audiobook is absolutely hilarious and so well done. So I want to see both of them. I'll read and listen, but this one has been on my list for a very long time, and I really want to get to it this month. But this is about four friends in a retirement village, and they meet every Thursday to talk about like unsolved murders and crime. They're all kind of like crime junkies. And then a murder happens near them, and they're like, we're gonna figure this out. So I think that it's going to be hilarious. Just the idea, I feel like it's sort of like The Only Murders in the Building. So I think I'm going to enjoy it. Again, I want something lighthearted and funny. I've been trying to find a couple more funny books recently, but this one is, you know, it's still a murder mystery. It's just not like a cozy murder mystery. And the next book, which I have had on hold at Libby for so long, since probably this time last year, is Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintura, and I'm going to get it this month. It is coming up. I am so close. So I'm going to read it because I have heard, I could have just rented it, checked it out, and read it physically, but it's kind of like a principle thing. I just like want to do it now because I've waited for such a long time. But I've heard that the audiobook also is outstanding, that it really should be read by audio. So I'm only doing audiobook this time. Normally I do like a mix, so it'll be different to listen to the whole thing all the way through. But it is about our main character Lucy, who was best friends with a girl named Savvy, and she had like this charmed life, and Savvy was really popular with like the men in town, if everyone's to be believed. And then one day Lucy is found wandering covered in her friend's blood, and people think that she murdered her, but there's like no evidence of it. So she moves away, and Lucy can't remember what happened. She moves away, starts a new life, until a true crime podcast plans on investigating it in their second season. So she returns to try and figure out what happened. And I think this is like a very great book with like an unreliable narrator, and you have no idea what happens. The narrator doesn't know what, like the main character doesn't know what happened. And if she's involved. So I am very curious to see how it is. I've heard really great things. Obviously there's a lot of people that are waiting to hear from it, and I have avoided spoilers like crazy for this one, so I really do want to read it. I've heard very good things about it. And the next books that I'm planning on reading are all sci-fi or sci-fi horror. So I really do like sci-fi horror, and I've read a couple towards the end of this month. I'm currently finishing one of them. I just like them, but I also like sci-fi, and I had, because I read Murderbot last month and I really wanted characters similar, I had a lot of people in the comments recommend Becky Chambers. So I am going to be reading The Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet this month. I had seen the books, but for some reason got like mixed up with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because they have like somewhat similar covers. I have heard really wonderful things about it. I had a lot of people in the comments like agree with the first comment, so I appreciate it. They said I would like the snarky characters and the crew. And so this is about a young girl who joins the crew of this aging wayfarer, and the whole series is called the Wayfarer series. But she joins it, and she's offered a bed, and they are hired to tunnel wormholes to distant planets. And when they get there, there's like a bunch of mishaps. There's some really weird things that are happening. But I've heard that the characters are wonderful, they're snarky, crew is very unique. There's a bunch of different kind of species, and also just how they work together and their backstories. So I'm very excited. I don't know that much more about it, just that it's been recommended by a lot of people, and I even saw people love it on Reddit. So I am going to dive into that this month as well. I have a little bit of a wait for it, so it's probably going to be the end of the month, but I am very excited, and I'm hoping that I love it like I love Murder Pine. We'll also be reading Constitution by Nick Webb. I talked about this in my April TBR, so I'm not going to go over it too much. I just didn't get to it this month, but I have wanted to read it. It is on Kindle Unlimited, so I do want to get it back because I already like checked it out. So I am going to be reading that. It is a military science fiction, which I like, and it is a bit different than the sci-fi kind of like horror exploration books that I've been reading recently. So if you want to see more of a description, go back to my April TBR, but I am still very, very interested in reading that, and it's on my Kindle exclusively, so I can travel with that one. And the next book that I want to read, which is one of my other physical books that I have, only physical, I'm going to see if I can try to find this in Kindle as well, just because it is chunky. This is a very big book. I don't really know why, like I'm deciding to read it this month, but I read Europa by Greg Beck, and I'm just looking for more space exploration horror books. This one has been very highly regarded, and it is Paradise 1 by David Wellington. This is actually in the Sci-Fi Fantasies section, but it is sci-fi horror. But it follows Paradise 1, which is Earth's first deep space colony. Thousands of people went, and then it goes dark. So they send a group to investigate it, and I really always love that sort of thing. There's another book called We Have Always Been Here, which I also might read this month, and it is similar, where there's a colony, they lose contact, and they have to go and investigate. And I always love the whole, like, if they have dual timelines especially, I really love that, and like From Below, and just the fact that they're separated from all help, and they have to kind of piece together what happened, and just the mystery and creepiness of it. I love it. I'm a sucker for it. I don't know how it's this long, so I'm hoping that it keeps me engaged all the way through. When I see space horror that is like extremely long, I don't know about it, but I have heard that this is good. People do recommend it in the sci-fi kind of like horror boards that I've been on, so very, very interested in watching this one and reading this one. So again, I also might read We Have Always Been Here. It is along the same lines, but it is a bit shorter. I do have it on hold through my Libby, but I really don't know if I'm going to get it this month, so I probably won't go into detail about it, but it is possible I might read that. So if you do like sci-fi horror, I can maybe do a video on it, just because it's not like a really popular genre. And I read a lot of cozy things here, and so I don't know if a lot of people are interested in it, but I do like it. It is a fun, if you like ocean horror, I feel like you would like sci-fi horror. So those are the books that I'm planning on reading. I have been reading around between 10 and like 14 books the past couple of months, so I think it is a doable amount of books for me. We will see. Just with the move, it might change a little bit, but I'm trying to be strategic on the way I'm reading, so I can just kind of continue and I just don't get into a book slump. And having multiple genres that I can bounce around to has been really helping me read a lot more books. I am going to go on to my reading journal setup now. I'm going to keep it rather simple. Because I read Chalice and I've been really interested in beekeeping, I've been watching a bunch of YouTube videos too. I'm doing like a bee theme and just kind of keeping my doodles and everything really simple, just because, again, the move, I want to be a little bit more strategic on what I do there. And I am also changing up a couple of my spreads just because some of them are very redundant. I have like that in my yearly spreads, I have this tally where I write down like all the pages that I read, and then I would do it again at the end of my monthly spreads. And I just didn't see the point. And I also never write my TBR. I set up the page and then I never write it in. I'm just going to combine my favorite book slot and the visual like graph that I do for how many books of each genre I read with my title page, and then just doing my like other pages afterwards. So that is a little bit of a change, but I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier on myself and switch now. We will do that and then we will come back. So those are my spreads. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what you're reading this month going into May. I have quite a few videos planned for May that I'm very excited about, and then going into June we'll be doing more of my summer TBR and summer content. So if you're still here, thank you for sticking around. Please feel free to leave me comments on books that you think that I should read. I am really enjoying writing down all of your comments and starting to add them to my TBR. There's a lot of gems obviously that I'm very excited about. I always loved hearing from all of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful start to May, and I will see you soon.